Warning: if you are a soft, insecure, frigid, irrational, temperamental, illogical, trolling, psychotic, sensitive, lunatic, pussy boxing fan, and hearing truthful, factual statements presented about your favorite fighter offends you, please discontinue watching this video now. Viewer discretion is advised. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I told you this video is coming. Let's go. The Ducking List, 2014. Now, for this list, it's no particular order. Again, this is not to offend or embarrass anybody. I'm just keeping it real, and I'm keeping it consistent like I do as a boxing fan. So, I don't want to hear nobody crying like, oh, why'd you put him on the list? I put him on the list because he belongs on the list because he ducked. Point blank, period. Again, there's no favoritism. I'm just telling it like it is. And I even supply you guys with the proof of how these fighters duck. So sit back, get some popcorn, and enjoy this list. And again, I'm going to go through the list and explain why. I'll spend more time with certain ones than the others. And we'll get right into it. So on the ducking list, I got to put Marcos Maidana. Now, this might be a shock to you. What? Marcos Maidana is a warrior. He's from Argentina. He doesn't duck anyone. He's tough. Now, there's a couple channels that made videos about this. I talked about it in the past. Dante's Boxing Nation, 78 Sports, shout out to them. They talked about it as well. And he ducked Keith Thurman, and it's on record. He was supposed to fight Keith Thurman many fights ago, before Keith Thurman was really even known. He was supposed to be on HBO. I think this was when Keith Thurman had maybe 17-0 and he had 17 knockouts. He was all knockouts. And he was supposed to fight on HBO against Marcos Maidana. That fight fell through because, and I believe they even had promotions for this. And that fight fell through because Marcos Maidana and his team decided they don't really have enough data on this guy, so we're going to pull out of the fight. Point blank, period. Now, at that point, that was very high risk, low reward. They didn't really have much information about this guy. The guy didn't have a name, so they could sweep him under the rug. But he's ducked him 2 other times. Most recently, he was in the crowd, and Keith Thurman is saying that he talked to Marcos Maidana, obviously with the translator, and Marcos Maidana said they can get it on. Let's go.
My seat after I was done with my bout and I was watching a little bit of the Khan fight, Maidana was right there. He said, let's go. So hopefully that is something that can be very likely next year.
He wrote, there's an article, and Team Maidana is saying it's Marcos Maidana's own advisor stating they don't want, that's like the least of their worries. They're not looking for a Keith Thurman fight. Now, the reason this is ducking is because, one, Marcos Maidana is off back-to-back losses to Floyd Mayweather. And the last one, you really can't dispute it. Point blank, period, you're off 2 losses. You're not really in the position to be a shot caller. You know what I'm saying? You're not at that level like a Pacquiao or a Mayweather where you could be a shot caller and say, even though I'm off 2 losses, I don't have to climb back. You have to climb back the ladder, up the ladder like anybody else does off of 2 losses. 2 losses is 2 losses. So why are we allowing Marcos Maidana to be selective? Not to mention the Marcos Maidana Keith Thurman fight is an exciting fight for the fans, and it's winnable for both of the fighters. Anyone can win that fight. They both have fight-altering power. It's a good fight. So on top of anything else, Keith Thurman is undefeated. Marcos Maidana is not. In fact, he has a couple of losses. Losses to Amir Khan. He has losses to Devin Alexander, 2 to Mayweather. And Keith Thurman's undefeated. So what better way to get back on track than to fight an undefeated fighter who some people... I really don't understand all the criticism for Bundu other than him saying KOs for life and not delivering a KO. I mean, he won every round. So at the end of the day, he's still undefeated. We still know he has power. And he just showed a different level to his game, a different dimension to his game. So he's still a credible foe who's undefeated. Marcos Maidana can derail all of that, and he'll be right back into the mix with a big fight with Amir Khan, a Kell Brook, maybe even a title shot with like a Kell Brook or something, if he went down that path. Taking a fighter's O, like he did with Adrian Broner, is something special. You know what I mean? You can honestly say, I'm the first guy that gave him the official loss. And keep in mind, you fought Broner, who had recently moved up 2 divisions. Keith Thurman has fought at 154 and also fought at 147. And Marcos Maidana has rehydrated over 160 pounds. So to me, this is a fair fight. You got 2 full-fledged punchers at welterweight. Why not fight? Now, as I go through the list, again, a lot of the guys on the list, I like them as fighters, but I'm not going to beat around the bush and pussyfoot and act like this doesn't exist. So it's nothing like that. But let's continue with the list. Peter Quillin versus the whole middleweight division. Yes, the whole division. And the reason that I'm saying that, and I've had the pleasure of working with Peter, but you gave up your belt for no fucking reason other than Al Heyman whispered in your ear and said, drop the belt. That makes no fucking sense. For any champion in the game to achieve a belt is something to be proud of. You work very hard, and Peter Quillin doesn't have an amateur like background like other fighters, and to achieve a belt and then all of a sudden just give it up, that's crazy. That makes no sense. So I'm saying Peter Quillin versus the whole middleweight division. Yes, there's fights with Triple G. Some people are like, oh, but Quillin's with Showtime and Triple G fights on HBO. But Triple G is with K2 Promotions. He's not with Top Rank. They could make that fight if they really push for it. You know what I'm saying? Especially nowadays, we had Herrera versus Benavidez and a couple other fights that were mixing of the two. Edislandi Lara versus Vanes Matarosen. That was a Golden Boy fighter versus a Top Rank fighter. So it's doable. Bernard Hopkins versus Sergey Kovalev. One fighter typically fights on HBO. The next fighter typically fights on Showtime. And they were able to make it. So why not make a Triple G fight? And why the fuck would you give up your belt? And you got paid or offered a real handsome amount from Jay-Z and Rock Nation to fight Korobov, who just got knocked out by Andy Lee. Andy Lee, a guy who lost to Chavez Jr., who had a real rocky performance against John Jackson, and he had like a late home run type of shot that ended the fight. So props to him for that. And he had another thing where he was in the Korobov fight where he was getting outboxed easy. And he just hit him with that right hook, and it was a good night. You know what I'm saying? It just discombobulated. So that's another fight where Peter Quillin had the opportunity to fight Korobov and get paid handsomely for it. And I think it was even in Brooklyn, because Jay-Z's from Brooklyn. Peter Quillin reps Brooklyn. You know what I mean? That's his second home or whatnot. And you turn it down and give up your belt. So I'm putting Peter Quillin on the duck list for ducking the whole middleweight division. And aside from that, there's other guys like David Lemieux. You know what I mean? There's Gabe Rosado rematch before he just lost to Lemieux. You know what I mean? Set the record straight. There's other guys he could have fought, and he fought nobody. Instead, he fought Lucas Konecki, who no one's ever fucking heard of. On the list, Danny Garcia versus Mauricio Herrera. I'm putting him on because you're the lineal champion. You're undefeated. You have a questionable win over Mauricio Herrera, and you're content with that. You're content having an asterisk by that win. Now, this is what I don't get. People always bring up Floyd and Castillo, but they rarely bring up the facts. Like the fact that Mayweather said immediately he had a shoulder injury. There was something wrong with his rotator cuff. And even bigger fact that Mayweather rematched Castillo the same year after he had that surgery, maybe 6-8 months later. At the end of the year, he fought Castillo and convincingly beat him to the point where there was no more questions. And he did that with Marcos Maidana, because some people said Maidana won the first fight or it was a draw or whatever, right? Danny Garcia didn't do that. He's content moving forth with his career. And then on top, to add insult to injury, you fought, which is my opinion, the biggest mismatch of 2014, a lineal champion, undefeated fighter, great fighter, Danny Garcia versus Rod Salka. You got a guy ranked number 77 in a lower division and fought him instead of having an immediate Herrera rematch. That's ducking. And then on top of that, you have this condescending attitude as if Herrera doesn't even deserve a rematch. Like, just man up. Say it was a tough fight. It was a close fight. He's a veteran. Let's get it on. That's what I expect from a lineal champion. Moving on with the list. Sergio Martinez versus Triple G. This is a duck if I ever seen one. Sergio Martinez was, at the time, lineal champion. And Triple G wanted the fight with Sergio Martinez. He wanted to prove he's like, yeah, no, Mac, I'll fight. He wanted to fight. And he called out Sergio Martinez, and he said on more than one occasion.
Quickly, what do you want now? Who do you want to fight now?
Hey guys, I'm champion. I'm open for everybody. I understand my situation. Thank you for HBO. Thank you for my team. Thank you for my fans. I'm open for everybody.
Name one.
Sergio Martinez, Peter Quillin, please guys, I'm here, I'm staying here, I'm open, I want.
Thanks.
And Sergio Martinez was quiet as hell and didn't say anything to the fact that I want to fight Triple G. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just a bunch of excuses, or you didn't hear anything from him. And then after his injury, he comes back from his injury to face a guy who's never fought at 160, and that was Miguel Cotto. And Miguel Cotto ran through him, and it kind of led fans to believe, okay, now we see why he didn't want to fight Triple G. Because if a guy who's smaller, who's from 54, came up and was able to do that, then Triple G might have knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? At this point of his career. Maybe in his prime, he could have gave some good work to Triple G. But at this point in his career, he knew where he was. You know what I mean? At age 40, he knew where he was, and he ducked the fight with Triple G. He wanted no parts of it. He didn't really go out of his way or make it known and follow up with it and follow through with it that he wanted to fight Triple G. It was just like he waited till he got beat by a smaller man in Miguel Cotto. And now, since we're on the subject, I'm not adding him to the list officially, but you can almost add as a runner-up, honorable mention, Miguel Cotto ducking Triple G. Now, Cotto has a very respected resume and very decorated resume. However, I don't think he wants any parts of Triple G. And you kind of inherit Sergio Martinez's problems by beating him. Because now, Cotto, you are the lineal champion in that division. And they were talking about making a fight fourth quarter with Andy Lee and Miguel Cotto. And he decided to sit out. So you can really make a strong argument that Miguel Cotto is ducking Triple G. So in this situation, if you don't want to fight at 160, you just did it to set history, drop back down, fight Canelo, give up your belts, and then keep it pushing. But you can't hold those belts hostage and really say you're the lineal champion. It just doesn't work like that. Next person on my list, Amir Khan ducking Kell Brook. And I really think Amir Khan is ducking Kell Brook. The reason I think he's ducking Kell Brook is because he's not even staying consistent with what he said.
I think he himself knows that he has to move up to that next world-class level where he's going to be fighting the world-class fighters like the likes of Manny Pacquiao's, the Tim Bradleys, the Maidanas, the Devin Alexanders, and you know that's the time that he can prove he is the best.
I'm number one in Britain, so there's big fights out there, isn't there, for me, Atten and Khan. You know, for the fans, it's going to be a mega showdown.
Makes great fights. It's great competition. We had Eubanks, we had Ben, we had Collins all fighting each other. Now we have you three in the mix. This could be a good little Bermuda Triangle, should I say?
It could be a good mix, yeah, definitely. You know, you've got three great fighters in Britain. I mean, I'm still at 140 pounds. I am thinking I'm moving up to 147, but I want to clean up this division first, and there's a few things I want to do. At the moment, at 140. If I'd won the last fight, then I would have moved up to the next weight category. But at the moment, I'm still at 140. But in the future, definitely, I think there will be fights between us all.
I mean,
it's a box kill all around the ring, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that's the honest truth. I was in England camps, and
you got schooled.
I never got schooled. Listen, I was training for the Olympic Games at that time, and Kel was at the juniors, and I used to school Kel in the ring.
I've never been schooled ever.
Do you think he'll be able to handle that kind of?
No, I don't believe so. I think
accuracy beats speed.
We know that he can't take
tougher guys than Kel in sparring, honestly. So you know, end of the day, he can say what he wants. I've been in a better position, so he has no room to say that I will not be able to. You know, lucky that ring isn't big enough. We could have gone in there, put on the gloves, and had a little fight.
Anytime.
You know, but I mean,
accuracy beats speed, and you know, it's just a matter of time before I land one in, and he's gone.
I tell you what, the British public would love to see you two, and put Hatton in the mix as well. You could fight. You could have rematches. bring back the glory days.
Definitely, you know, at the end of the day, look, I'm not one fighter to say no to it. I mean, but I really think, look, Hatton is
So
one
it could
fighter.
happen?
It could happen, definitely. But Hatton is one fighter who I have a lot of respect for. Take my hat off to him because he has proven himself numerous times and fought the best. Has Kell done that?
Ding ding, time out for now.
Kel, do you think your paths are going to eventually cross, you and Amir's?
Yeah, I hope so for the fans. I think
Definitely, it's a fight that the fans want to see.
He's leaning
so,
back.
Yeah,
I got looking at eyes.
It's a fight that the fans want to see, and you know, I'm happy to take it. We need it on Sky. Box office, I think, could be massive. So you know, well, let's get it on, man. Definitely, I'm gonna move up to 147 hopefully very, very soon, and then I'll be in the mix.
We remember
years, it's been around years. Everyone's. What about Amir Khan? You know, for years when I started professional, I've always wanted it. You know, people saying this, that. So we need to get it on.
Definitely, you know, I still think I'm a league above, but you know, if I have to step back a league and have to go down and knock him out, then I might have to do that. You know, but look,
does this go back to the sparring?
I mean, I think so. I think he's going to be bitter about how I treated him in sparring. Maybe that's why he's still bitter about that. That's why he wants to do that. So let's make, you know, we'll make it happen one day. Like I said, I'm still 140. When I move to 147, I will move up and I will knock Kell Brook out. Now I've said it in front of everybody there.
He gets knocked out every time. I'll knock him out.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's something. He's going to have his opinion, I'm going to have my opinion.
You can't hold the shot. You can't hold the shot. He likes to have a fight. He's on about his chain trainer, smart in his defense. When he gets into it, he likes to have a fight.
Have you been in with anyone decent? Have you been in with anyone decent? Have you been in anyone decent? You turn down Bradley. You turn down Bradley. You turn down Maidana. The likes of Maidana.
I'll fight Bradley. I'll do a unification fight with Bradley when I win my world title.
If he beats Bradley, I'll fight the winner of Bradley and Kell Brook.
You always saying stuff. You said that about Matthew White, and you said fight Matthew White and then fight me.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. But listen, if I fought you, I will knock you out.
Take the world title out the picture. Do you think that Kell Brook's actually on your level in terms of boxing ability?
He's not on my level. I don't think he's on my level, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't fight him because he's very disrespectful. If he was cool and he was being respectful, I would, but I'm not gonna bother fighting him. I've proven myself where I am and how good I am. Yeah. So I'm not gonna fight him.
He keeps screaming out Mayweather, which is cool. Everybody wants a Mayweather shot. I mean, I could think of numerous people off the top of my head that want to fight Floyd Mayweather. And they're not going to just get it. Mayweather said it himself. I'm not going to give Khan or anybody else a fight. They're not going to talk their way into a fight. And it seems like that's what Khan is doing. Now, don't get me wrong. He looked sharp against Collazo, and he looked very good and spectacular against Devin Alexander. However, if you really put it in perspective, those are good performances, but not necessarily earth-shattering performances. Like, you didn't go in against somebody where the odds were against you in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Most people picked you to beat Luis Collazo, straight up. And stylistically, the style that both of them presented never really gave you problems. It's the big punchers, the pressure styles, the people that made you uncomfortable that gave you the most problems in your career. So the reason I say he's ducking Kell Brook, if you guys listen to the audio, he clearly said that Kell Brook has to do something. He has to basically become relevant, become a champion. Kell Brook has done that. Kell Brook has become a champion, beat Sean Porter, came out to the States, beat Sean Porter, better late than never. He's been a pro for 9 years or whatever it is. Finally fought somebody with a name that was ranked, top 10, and an aggressive, awkward style like Sean Porter. He tries to bully you, big volume. And in recent interviews, Amir Khan is still saying, I don't want to fight him. He doesn't get a shot with me. But you just said he has to do something of importance, and he did that. But why does he not get a shot when he basically conformed and did what you told him? You said beat someone world class, beat somebody for a title, and then talk about it. And if you guys remember, Kell Brook was supposed to fight Devin Alexander, and Khan said beat Devin Alexander and then we can discuss business. Devin Alexander wasn't able to hold on to his title because Sean Porter took it, and Kell Brook ended up, even though he didn't fight Devin Alexander, he still fought the man that got the title from Devin Alexander. You get me? So to me, I think he's ducking Kell Brook. And another reason I feel this way is because, look at it like this. Amir Khan wants his cake and wants to eat it too. On one token, he's bragging about how big of a star he is. He's like, oh, for Mayweather, I'm an international star, and I have fans everywhere. Like, he really believes that he's an international superstar and he has drawing power, which is cool because I think he is a good star. I don't know about superstar. I would say Canelo puts more asses in seats in the States than him, but nonetheless, he has a name in the sport. So when you're making your case for a Mayweather fight, you're talking and bragging about how big of a star you are. But when it comes to Kell Brook, a very fan-friendly, especially for your region, for the UK, a great fight, you're saying, no, I don't want it. He doesn't have a big enough name. There's no money in it. So if you're such a big star, you should be able to fight really anybody, let alone your fellow countrymen, where there's a big rivalry and there's been years of bad blood, and produce numbers. Why can't you do that? If you're that level of a star, why can't you fight him? And not to mention, he has a title in the division and you don't. You don't have a title. You have a good performance too, but you don't have a title. All of his fights in recent memory have been at welterweight, and now he has a title. So in all actuality, even though you say you're the bigger star, he has more bargaining chips because he's a champion. You're not. So it doesn't make sense. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm a big enough star, I can bring Mayweather to Wembley or whatever and sell it out, right? But you can't fight Kell Brook, who's from the UK. Mayweather's not from no fucking England. But you can't fight a fellow countryman in the UK and do good numbers, even though this is a fight that I really want to see. And there's been years of bad blood and buildup. They were both on the same station together, and they're talking about the previous sparring they had years ago. This is a good fight, and this would tell me a lot. And I think the winner, I would have no problem with the winner facing Floyd Mayweather. It's that type of fight. It's a good fight. And whoever won it would be a champion. Either Kell Brook would still be a champion, or Amir Khan would now be the champion if he defeats Kell Brook. So now he has that bargaining chip that I mentioned to, and that power where he could say, okay, Floyd Mayweather, you want a trinket? Fight me now. I have a belt. I'm a belt holder. I'm a title holder. You know, HBO and Showtime, when they had that little snapshot of a division, it's going to say top welterweights. Now you could put my name in there because I have a belt and I'm a title holder. And then they show the little head profile of everybody who has a title in that division. At that point, Amir Khan would be able to say that. Now, I'm not done with this list by far. Part 2 is coming. I just don't want it to be so long. But trust me, part 2 is coming. I assure you, Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.